Hey now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey now, and I say, hey now. Welcome to hour number 3 of the line on a Fun King Friday. Glad you're here. Deep South Construction Pros bringing you this part of the show. DeepSouthConstructionPros.com. That's the website, and very important service they provide, man. Basement waterproofing and crawl space encapsulation. Talked a lot about that yesterday, and man, you just gotta get that taken care of, man, because that causes sicknesses and illnesses and all kinds of stuff that can really, really mess you up. Not just you, but your family, everybody living in your house. When mold starts to grow based on moisture getting into your underparts. Not those underparts, the underparts of your house, like your basement and your crawl space. So get with these guys and get that taken care of. It's just part of home ownership. Got to get things done. But this one's very important because it literally is linked directly to your health. So get that done. A lot of things could cause it. You know, you could have irrigation problems near your house if you notice when it rains, water pooling up right there on the side of your house. Maybe you got some gutter issues or just the way your land and your yard's laid out could cause that, and it's bad news, I'm telling you. And then you end up with the foundation issues, which they also deal with. They deal with a lot of different things when it comes to your home. So if you got any questions about anything when it comes to home repairs of that sort, call them and ask them. These guys are great. They're right here in Alabama, proud of it, and love serving the community. Deep South Construction Pros. Here's the phone number, 256-305-1854. Proud sponsors of this show, so make sure you let them know that's where you heard them, right here on the line. 256-305-1854, online, DeepSouthConstructionPros.com. Part of Trump's speech last night, I was very happy to hear this, because this is a topic and I can go back in the archives and prove this, a topic that we have been talking about since 2023. I've been talking about this for 3 years. 3 years, probably even before that. But GBI Strategies, a group that we have looked deeply into that really centered around Michigan, but has its tentacles in other places, which I'll tell you about. GBI Strategies, which is a group, a very shady, almost undetectable group that goes around and registers people to vote in large numbers. And what Trump commented on last night centers around a Michigan scandal involving GBI Strategies, Muskegon County, Michigan, where police got involved and ultimately the FBI got involved, and it never got reported. It was literally swept under the rug. This is what Trump said about GBI Strategies last night.
Just tonight are FBI files detailing evidence of alleged fraud by a large-scale voter registration operation in Michigan. In 2020, Michigan State Police raided a Democrat Get Out the Vote organization, corrupt group in Muskegon. And we're so concerned by what they found. They were just so concerned. They couldn't believe it, actually, that they contacted the FBI in Detroit. The documents state that some canvassers admitted to FBI agents that they signed voter registration forms in other people's names, submitted fraudulent registration for people who did not exist, and received gift cards tied to their number of applications that they produced. In other words, it was pay, play, and cheat. The FBI agents working on the case believe that crimes were committed, yet the Biden Department of Justice slow-walked the investigation and killed it. Tonight, I'm asking the FBI director to ensure that the matter is fully investigated and to work with the Department of Justice to prosecute those responsible for any crimes.
The Biden administration had all this information and killed it. Let me tell you the story, though, because you may not be familiar with this. If you've been a longtime listener of this show, you already know about it because we've talked about it countless times. But on October 8th, 2020, this is just approximately a month before the election, Muskegon, Michigan city clerk Anna Misch noticed a black female whose name was, and I've got the police reports and everything here. Her name was redacted from the police report, although later it came out that her name was Brianna Hawkins, dropped off between 8,000 and 10,000 completed voter registration applications at the city clerk's office. One person dropping off 8,000 and 10,000, 18,000 voter registration forms in one city. Okay? One person. So the Muskegon Police Department was contacted by the city clerk and asked them to investigate it because as the city clerk, she's got to be like, wow, this is really weird. Why do you have 18,000 of these? Plus, she's probably thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to go through all these. According to the Michigan State Police report, on October 21st, 2020, First Lieutenant Mike Anderson was contacted by Tom Fabus, who is the Chief of Investigations for Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel's office. Mr. Fabus requested Michigan State Police assistance with a joint investigation into alleged voter fraud being conducted by the Michigan Police Department and the Attorney General. And now this is all documented in real time. I want to point this out because Ann Misch is noted on Facebook as making posts about this, and then other city clerks and other city employees are going back and forth in the comments talking about, well, we had this happen too. Did you notice this? Did you notice that? And they're all like, this is all very bizarre. And for them to contact the police, obviously there's a lot of red flags. So an investigative task force was put together and an investigation was initiated into this issue. This is an excerpt from the Michigan State Police report. It says on 10/16/20, on October 16th, 2020, Muskegon City Clerk Ann Misch and Deputy Clerk Kimberly Young contacted the Muskegon Police Department after noticing irregularities in voter registration applications received both in person and by mail. The Muskegon City Clerk became suspicious when the female hand-delivered thousands of voter registrations to her office, many of them in the same handwriting. It says on 10/20/2020, the suspect returned to the Muskegon City Clerk's office to deliver additional registration forms in person. Misch estimated that the suspect brought an additional 2,500 forms. Misch contacted the Muskegon Police Department, and Detective Logan Anderson and Captain Sean Bride conducted a non-custodial interview with the suspect. Misch stated in her opinion a quantity of the voter registration forms were highly suspicious and possibly fraudulent. Misch's opinion was based on the fact that numerous forms appeared to have been completed by the same writer, and upon initial examination, addresses on multiple forms were invalid or non-existent. This is, again, the police report. Misch investigated further and found that phone numbers on multiple forms were erroneous, and signatures on multiple forms didn't appear to match signatures on file with the Department of Secretary of State. Examples included an address in the and another in the redacted. Those addresses do not exist in the Muskegon City House numbering system. Another form listed 80 West Southern Avenue, which is the address for Muskegon High School and is clearly not a residence. So, that's the police report. The Michigan State Police investigator assigned to the case then speaks with the female suspect who explained, this is the Brianna chick that brought in all the voter registration forms. She explains that she's being paid $1,150 per week to, quote, find unregistered voters and provide them with a form so they can get registered to vote or obtain their absentee ballot. The only problem is that the handwriting on several voter registrations was identical and many of the addresses were non existent or fake. So the GBI is the company that she's working for, that she's getting paid for or paid by. The GBI Strategies key suspect was interviewed by AG investigator Stephen Morse, where he literally tells her, quote, crimes were committed. Now, to lay that out, because I got to keep going with this, to lay that out, this lady, God bless her, I think she's probably oblivious to what is even going on, is being told by this company, she finds on Craigslist or whatever, hey, we'll pay you $1,150 a week, $1,150 a week, if you can go and get X number of voter registrations completed and go turn them into the city clerk. All you got to do is hit this number each week and we'll pay you. That's good money, especially in October of 2020. Some parts of the country are still reeling from the pandemic. Maybe their unemployment money's running out, whatever. There was a lot of money floating around out there at that time. And so she says, I'll bet I'll do that. So she gets out there and starts doing her thing. But she gets to a point where she decides that she's just going to fill some of these out herself or have someone start filling out voter registrations. We got you some random addresses, some random names, random phone numbers. You can just make up a phone number, fill it out, and then boom, there's another one. There's another one. Chances are, and through this investigation, it will likely find that GBI or whoever the individual was she was directly talking to about this job told her that if you can't hit this number, just write some stuff down. Just fill it out yourself. Thus, you end up with a lot of these applications with the exact same handwriting. And so this lady, who, probably knows to an extent that there's something shady going on, is thinking, well, it ain't me, it's them. I'm working for a place. I'm just doing what they're telling me to do, so my hands are clean of it. And when she gets pulled into an investigation or questioned by police, which the video of the interrogation is out there, you can tell she's kind of like, I was just working a job. I was just trying to make money. Christmas is right around the corner. That's what's great about these people that do this kind of stuff is elections are in November. So October-ish, people are starting to think about Christmas. If you got kids, you got to find a way to get some extra money. They got an endless supply of money. Bada boom, bada bing. It's a perfect recipe for the perfect storm. So they pull her in and they say, listen, lady, crimes were committed here. Things are not as they seem. Then you move on to what happens next as this investigation progresses and where it ultimately ends up. I'll give you that when we get back. 205-545-9950. Hang tight. So just, I'm kind of skipping around, but I'm trying to keep this on track. So back to Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, who is going to be overseeing these elections and making sure they're secure. Her analyst, whose name was Corey Amos, was a key part of this GBI strategies investigation. So Amos clearly stated in the Michigan State Police report that, quote, a quantity of the forms they found in their investigation are clearly fraudulent. Although Jocelyn Benson, who's currently running as the Democrat candidate for governor of Michigan, was privy to this information, she chose to hide the investigation from the public and deliberately lie when she assured everybody that there was no widespread voter fraud in Michigan. But the 2020 police report reveals that GBI Strategies has been operating since 2014. This is the part you're going to love. The investigation found that GBI Strategies was even paid $1,571,386 by the Doug Jones for Senate campaign back in 2018. Now, you may have said to yourself, boy, Roy Moore was a bad candidate, and that was the only reason that Alabama elected a Democrat senator. But really, do you think that it was that bad? I mean, in Alabama, of all places, with where the Democrat Party was even in 2018, do you really think Alabama would have legitimately elected a Democrat governor? You could put a turd sandwich up, put an R by its name, and it's still going to win against a Democrat in a statewide election. But somehow Doug Jones won. And maybe it was all on the up and up. Maybe there was no sort of shenanigans going on or any fraud. It's coincidence that the Doug Jones for Senate campaign paid this GBI Strategies, which was obviously committing voter fraud in multiple states, $1.5 million. That's a lot of money, by the way. That was just one race they were involved in. The investigation also finds that GBI Strategies was paid $188,000 by the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee in 2018 as well. According to the police report, then Democrat presidential candidate Joe Biden and U.S. Senate candidate from Michigan, Gary Peters, funded this fake registration, statewide registration scheme. Here's what it says. It says, analyst Degroot, these are the names of the investigators, searched GBI Strategies LLC using the Center for Responsive Politics website. Degroot found the GBI Strategies LLC had a vendor recipient profile dating back to 2014. In the 2018 midterm campaign cycle, Degroot found that GBI Strategies LLC was paid $1.5 million by the Doug Jones for Senate committee, $657,000 by the New American Jobs Fund, and $188,000 by the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. This is not a police report. This is not Andrew Mclain making stuff up. All of these listings will be added as external documents. Initial workup suggests the majority of GBI Strategies' work was found Democratic candidates and was found to Democratic candidates and organizations. Although the final numbers for the 2020 campaign cycle won't be available for quite some time, estimates were located using the same website. GBI Strategies was estimated to receive $242,000 from Joe Biden for president and $242,000, the same exact amount, from Gary Peters for Senate. Well, that's a little weird. That's just a handful of the groups. They were involved in multiple states, in multiple elections, including the election for president of the United States. And it all started in one place, in one city in Muskegon, Michigan, where 8,000 to 10,000 voter registration forms were delivered to the city clerk's office and provided to the city clerk. And that's not even it. When you get into the details from the police report, where they ultimately serve a search warrant on GBI Strategies headquarters, it gets even more weird. I'll give you that when we get back. 205 545 9950. 545 9950, the line. Talk 99.5. So the investigators find, and I'm almost through all of this. Oh, by the way, before I go any further, happy birthday to Beth Ellen. That's my sister-in-law.
Oh, happy birthday, Beth Allen.
Happy birthday, Beth Ellen. The investigators found a number of voter application forms were clearly fraudulent. The report says that police found dozens of new phones and hundreds of prepaid payment cards. These items were clearly considered suspicious by the police in the report. But then, during their raid at the GBI Strategies headquarters, which turned out to be like a duplex, like a house, like a half a house, the state police found partially completed voter registration forms, which would tell you that when they're given to the people that go out in the field and allegedly get people registered, they're already partially filled out and just need a signature or something. During the raid, they found those partially completed registration forms as well as, ready for this, John Berg? Pelican cases in the room with semi-automatic rifles joined with suppressors and optics and customized pistols. One case had 4 rifles and 4 pistols, according to the police report. The guns were stored in the GBI Strategies inside of an unlocked Pelican case that they later discovered belonged to Gary Bell. Now, who is Gary Bell? Gary Bell is allegedly the owner of GBI Strategies. And one of the whiteboards in the headquarters, this is crazy. One of the whiteboards inside the headquarters where the guns were stored had a message on it. Somebody had wrote on the whiteboard, "Weapons in the field, prepared for shifts."
Shifts?
Shifts, like work shifts.
Oh, my gosh.
Weapons in the field, prepared for shifts. So the police do the obvious thing. They contact the ATF to inspect the weapons, and they determined that they were legal and lawful and belonged to Gary Bell. Why he needed so many weapons as a nerdy canvasser, ballot canvasser, nobody knows. But Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel was asked by a Detroit News journalist about the weapons found at the GBI Strategies headquarters because there was some reporting on this locally, but this story was not of any interest to CNN or MSNBC or even Fox News. They barely talked about it. When she was asked about it, she just blamed the landlord. She just said, I don't know. It's just guns. Just guns that belong to the landlord. It's nothing suspicious there. They belong to Gary Bell, not the person Gary Bell was renting the duplex from. So they believe the records found at the location were crucial to determining the crime of election fraud forgery and determining who may be criminally liable and who may have profited from the fraud. They later obtained a copy of the Muskegon Police Department report 2020-19-124, I guess was the number on the report, authored by Officer Foster with a supplemental report by Detective Logan Anderson, along with a copy of the search warrant for the business location for the GBI Strategies. Not one person was prosecuted in this case. When the Michigan State Police handed it over to Dana Nessel handed it over to Joe Biden's FBI, and then the investigation died. And that was it. That's all she wrote for GBI Strategies. But now, according to Donald Trump as of last night, the investigation is back on. So if I'm Gary Bell, I'm fleeing the country. I don't want to be around for what's next. People have constantly said nobody's ever going to be prosecuted. Nobody's ever going to be held accountable. And I understand why people felt that way. But this is something that has been built over years. GBI Strategies, which is a small player in a bigger scheme, has been doing this since 2014. This is not something that was just created overnight. And so it takes a lot, especially when you're fighting back against people that are handling this FBI, CIA, whatever. The people that have their hands on this information related to election fraud, when they are hiding it from you because they want to protect these people, it makes it even more difficult. It makes it take even longer to hold people accountable. But I firmly believe in this case, some of these people will be held accountable, and hopefully it leads up the chain. We need answers as to why Joe Biden sent hundreds of thousands of dollars to GBI Strategies. What was the benefit of that? How was GBI Strategies, which was simply not working to get somebody elected, they were just trying to help people vote, why the Democrat candidate in Michigan sent over $200,000, the same exact amount that Joe Biden sent to GBI Strategies. And why did Doug Jones, who was at the time he sent the money running for Senate in Alabama against Roy Moore, why he sent $1.5 million to this GBI Strategies in Michigan, located in a duplex stocked with guns and suppressors and optics? Nobody's even asked Doug Jones that question. But the states that GBI Strategies has been involved in have been Michigan, Iowa, Illinois, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. GBI's been doing their dirty work in all of those states. And they are continuing to do this. And they got to put a stop to it. They got to hold these people accountable. All the information is there. The FBI had it. They had everything they needed to start locking people up. But they killed it. Because you can imagine that this Brianna chick who turned in 10, 15,000 voter registrations in a day wasn't the only one working for GBI Strategies just in Muskegon or just in Michigan. There's Briannas in all of those states that I just listed off. And some of them may be doing it wittingly. Some people may be doing it unwittingly. It's likely a situation where they found this job opportunity online. And I think there's many people that really maybe didn't know or maybe they thought it was a little suspicious, but they didn't want to ask any questions because they were getting a nice payday. The individuals that we saw showing up to ballot drop boxes in 2020 with fistfuls of ballots. Remember the one clip from MSNBC, the reporter's out there at a ballot box, and he's got his little mask on, and he's like, yeah, we're out here watching, and people are dropping off their ballots, staying safe from the pandemic. Like this lady right here. And then they pay it over to some lady who's at the ballot box, and she's got probably 20 ballots in her hand. And she's just put them in. She's like, I don't want to talk. It was like right there on live TV. And we saw it over and over and over. And when you go back to 2,000 Mules, when they track these people, the people that were dropping off fistfuls of ballots were getting paid for each trip they made. Getting paid to go drop off ballots. When you look at their location history, they'll go to this warehouse. They'll go to a warehouse, and then they'll go to a drop box, and then they'll go to another drop box in another part of the city, and then another drop box, and then another one. They would drop off 5, 6, 7 ballots in each one, spread it out, and they'd end up right back at that warehouse. All of a sudden, they'd leave again. They'd do it. They'd go to other ballot drop boxes. Little here, little here, little here. And then all of a sudden, 81 million votes. So as the concentration for a lot of people today is China's influence in the election, there is a whole lot more happening right here at home, right under our nose. The speech that Donald Trump gave last night, well, a lot of people are going to diminish it and say it wasn't important and there was nothing to it. And he's just yammering about stolen election this and conspiracies. That may have been one of his most important speeches that he's given in this term, because it is exposing the iceberg that is beneath the surface of voter fraud in this country. Boy, I've been on one today. I kind of just left John Bird out in the cold on a Fun King Friday.
No, man, this is important stuff.
Was a big speech last night.
Yeah.
It was very big. And there's just, I mean, at the end of the day, This is all stuff. Let me send you something real quick, Bert. This is all stuff that has been out there, even with the GBI strategy stuff, but also the idea of vulnerabilities in the election systems, the fact that these machines can be easily hacked into. It's been widely known. Democrats have been preaching it for years. Here's an example. In 2018, Kamala Harris, standing on stage with Republicans as well, talking about those vulnerabilities in the election system, and she's advocating. Remember, it's 2018. This is only 8 years ago. 2 years before she becomes vice president. She's advocating for paper ballots because foreign countries can't hack a piece of paper. Yeah, that Kamala Harris. Now, she couldn't string that kind of sentence together today, but back then, she actually made a little sense. Listen.
We are talking with them about the fact that it is probably best that you do not have your election system connected to the internet, because that will create greater vulnerabilities. And then look at where we are now in this year of our Lord 2018. We're talking about paper ballots, but that actually might be one of the smartest systems. Going back to, a day when we could have something tangible that we can hold on to, because Russia cannot hack a piece of paper like they can a computer system connected to the internet.
Ooh, how about that? A little bit of truth bomb from Kamala Harris. Did you think that would ever happen? But nowadays, the candidates for the candidates that the Democrats are putting up are just completely gone. I mean, they're shot. They're shot. Look at this individual right here. This is Senate candidate. So they're replacing Graham Plattner, right? Remember, Graham Plattner officially dropped out. So now the Democrat Party is going to handpick who takes his place, but they're doing debates and putting on a show to make it seem like they're letting the people of Maine pick who the Democrat's going to be. This right here is Ashley Webb, one of the candidates that, and look at this, John Bird, that is transgender, and he or she is running for Graham Plattner's, what would have been possibly Graham Plattner's seat.
Give me Graham Black, please. Give him back.
They had a debate last night, and this was Ashley Webb introducing herself to the world.
Webb, what qualifications do you have to serve in the U.S. Senate?
Oh, I ran for office several times. Didn't win, but I did run. And then I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books. And then I suppose my transparency, I wouldn't lie to the people, and I wouldn't deceive the people like we're being deceived right now. Like, we get lied to, smoke and mirrors, like what's going on with ICE, pretending like these victims did something wrong. Like, that's unacceptable. And I suppose the biggest thing is, like, I'm just an angry citizen now, and if I got elected, I'd be an angry senator, and I think that would probably be their worst nightmare.
I'm going to be an angry senator. I'm going to be one angry bitch.
Okay, all right, I feel better about this candidate now. With a lower voice than me.
I'm going to be an angry senator. And it's ma'am. And then, well, that was just about, I'm a songwriter. I write books. But what about policies? Does Ashley Webb have policies? What about, certain Democrat stances like abolishing ICE, defunding the police?
And then I agree they need to take the masks off, and they need to put their badges on, and then they also need to wear their body cams. And I don't believe they should be able to just walk away after they shoot somebody. They should be held accountable, they should be investigated, and they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. As far as the immunity, I'd like to see that stripped away. It's probably not going to get stripped away. If we tried to go after it, Leals are going to fight it. I guess the best option would be to defund them as much as we can. I would like to abolish them, but that's probably not going to happen either.
This person has no clue about anything.
But listen, hear me out. At least this individual's being real. Probably the realest person on that stage outside of the fact that he's pretending to be a woman. He's saying, yeah, I'm for defunding the police, or I'm for abolishing the police and abolishing ICE, but we probably can't do it. And I'm like, you're right. You can't do it. But other candidates will say they'll do it. Like, oh, absolutely, 100%, I'll do it. He's like, nah, probably can't do it, but I'd like to. I'm just going to be an angry senator.
Man, I'd like to see a wrestling match between she and Fetterman.
This kind of looks like Fetterman. Again, for those of you on YouTube, just one more gander at this Ashley Webb. Remember, this is who is attempting to replace Graham Plattner. Oh my God!
I think she's kind of a hippie girl because she's not wearing makeup.
No makeup.
And that 5
but
o'clock shadow.
did have a dress on. Kind of looks like she kind of looks like a pinto bean.
Yeah, who is
Like
it? She
a
reminds me
white
of.
pinto bean. But he's wearing a dress and he was wearing sneakers to the debate. Oh, Democrats, you're so funny.
I bet he's gonna write his own campaign song.
What do you think it'll sound like? He is a songwriter.
Vote for me, vote for me. Everyone should be free except Republicans. It'll be something along those lines.
Vote for me. I'm an angry bitch.
Man,
I'm going to defund the police.
you know, saying you're gonna be angry going into Congress just isn't a good look.
I'm going to be angry. That's their worst nightmare. No, their worst nightmare is having to show up to work and look at that every day. I mean, it's a literal freak show. You remember when we were kids and they would have like the bearded lady at the carnival or whatever?
Oh yeah.
And sometimes they wouldn't even like have a bearded lady advertised, but you'd go to like one of the carnival games where you got to pop the balloons with darts, and there was a woman running the stand, and she had a beard.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like intentional. It was just the fact that she just has a beard. Nowadays, like we used to, back then, it would be like, oh, this person's a freak. I want to go see it. Now it's like, well, this person is, you know, a very normal individual, and you have to treat them as such. It's like, no, that's a mentally ill person.
Yes.
And if you want to talk about being kind and being accepting, being kind is telling that person to stop, get some help. As the famous Michael Jordan said one time, stop, get some help.
MJ.
Oh, man. And the irony of all of this, I'm not going to have time to talk about it today, but the irony of all of this is The Atlantic, you know, the liberal journal, The Atlantic, put out an article claiming the era of the Democrat manly man is back, and that Democrats are now defining masculinity. I may sit on that one till Monday. That's one I really got to explore, because the one message I would send to Democrats is be a man. Don't be a Democrat. Be a man.